how Nigeria Army invaded General Malu's country home and made a lot of destruction. Soldiers, they claim, came for peacekeeping, but later diverted from the road they came to play and almost destroyed the whole of General Malu's house and other places, kill a lot of people. And this is the picture of what happened in the house.
On October 21st, 2001, a detachment of the Nigerian Army invaded the Sankara axis, which consists of Logo, Ukum, Kwande, and Katsinala local government areas of Benue State. This was a reprisal attack for the murder of 19 soldiers in Zakibiam. It pains me when unnecessary parallels are drawn between what happened in Odi and my village. I have often been asked how I can, in good faith, justify the military's action in Odi and blame the military for the massacre in my village. I have no doubt about the identities of those who committed the atrocities in my village. Only the Nigerian Army has armored fighting vehicles in the country. The military hardware can never be deployed to any operation without clearance from the President through the Minister of Defense. These armored vehicles drove from Yola through several states to get to my village. There is no mistake about who came to my village and killed the people and destroyed their property. I have the names of the officers who were involved. Some of them have come privately to give me the details, but I tore up the papers to avoid getting bogged down by anger and pain. The problem started when 19 soldiers were allegedly killed in the Ukum local government area. I later found out that the number of people abducted and killed was much higher than 19. Soldiers, along with local militia members, went around harassing villagers, so the villagers decided to fight back. They caught the soldiers and dealt with them in their own way. The 19 dead soldiers were found in Zakibiam in the Ukum local government area, which is completely different from my local government area. If the army had been sincere in exacting revenge, they would have confined their operation to the local government area where the bodies were found. To the contrary, they extended their operations to 5 local government areas. They summoned the people to the market square, separated the men from the women, and opened fire. It is therefore wrong to draw a parallel between occurrences in Odi and Benue. What happened in Benue is criminal and deserves the strongest condemnation and punishment. The army went to places called Vasi and Beji, more than 50 kilometers apart. My village in Katsinala local government area is 15 kilometers from Zakibiam. If they destroyed every other house along the road, including my house, one would have been convinced that it was mass destruction. They passed every other place, came to my village, conducted the operation and drove back. They came back again the next day with a truck to cart away any valuables that had not been destroyed from the attack the previous day. But after the first attack, my younger brother packed away my things and hid them in a safe place. When they came back and saw that my house was empty, they set the house on fire. I arrived at the village a few days after the incident and conducted a survey of the damage and destruction done to my home and the entire village. After the burial of 3 members of my immediate family, I conducted a thorough examination of the village and interviewed those who survived the mayhem. Our accounts of the incidents. On the morning of Tuesday, 23rd October 2001, at about 11:15 a.m., the peace and quiet often associated with my village in Tongov district of Katsinala local government area was violently disturbed by the officers and men of the Nigerian Army who invaded the village, causing pandemonium through indiscriminate killings of people and the destruction of their valuable property. As a result, 3 people were murdered in the process. The invading army, who were literally armed to the teeth, came in 5 military vehicles made up of 2 armored fighting vehicles and 3 troop-carrying vehicles. The AFVs were positioned in the front and rear of the column, with the 3 troop-carrying vehicles in the middle. All the vehicles had their headlights fully on as the column approached and entered the village in the true style of a combat mission. Upon arrival, the invading army with characteristic military precision surrounded the whole village. One armored fighting vehicle was strategically positioned against my country house, while the other was stationed at the main road. The remaining 3 vehicles then blocked both ends of the village such that no vehicle could pass through. In a twinkling of an eye and before anyone could ascertain what was happening, armed soldiers brought jerry cans containing petrol from their vehicles and poured them at my country house and set same ablaze. Every property was therein destroyed, including new Peugeot 504 car and a Honda 195 CD Roadmaster. Simultaneously with this happening, a unit broke and entered into the house of my uncle, Mr. David Pave Ador, who was at the time the head of the family. He was shot at close range. He died instantly. Thereafter, his house was equally set ablaze. Hence, the body of my said uncle was consumed by the fire, as well as other properties in the building. My late uncle was a blind man of about 85 years. 2 of my late uncle's wives were shot and killed in the process. They were Mrs. Rebecca Dome Pave and Mrs. Costa Pave. These women were also about 70 and 75 years respectively. Another elder, Mr. Menan Tiobo, was also murdered and his house also burnt down. He was 85 years old. The invading soldiers did not spare the house of my late father, Pa Malo Ador. The whole building, a 4-bedroom bungalow, was set ablaze and destroyed by the use of petrol. About 15 thatched houses were similarly destroyed, including the properties therein such as yams, soya bean, etc. During the gruesome incident, which lasted for about 2 hours, the villagers, among who was my aged mother, Madame Adwe Malu, were held hostage and made to lay on the ground, with their faces down, while the road from Zakibiam to Kasanala that traverses our village was blocked from both ends. Life came to a standstill and there was no movement of any sort while the operation lasted. A thorough search was carried out by the soldiers throughout the village and nothing incriminating whatsoever was found. After the atrocities and mayhem unleashed on Theodore had been completed, the team leader, who was either a captain or a major, his real identity and rank were hidden with a flak jacket that complemented his combat military uniform, summoned his team to the center of the village in readiness to depart. The villagers, or what was left of them, were equally huddled to the center of the village. As a final act, before their eventual departure on that day at about 1 p.m., the aforesaid leader inquired from the frightened and humiliated villagers who among them understands the Hausa language very well. One James Chia replied that he understood the Hausa language. The officer's address was more of a confessional statement to the effect that it was the federal government of Nigeria that had instructed them to kill anybody and destroy every structure they may find at Theodore, in the knowledge that nothing will happen nor will the heavens fall. The team leader further stated that he had, however, exercised some discretion in the matter, in that he had not carried out the instruction to the letter, on the grounds that I had been their boss and was good to them during my military career. I find this a very extraordinary way to demonstrate gratitude if the officer was really speaking the truth. The team leader then blew a whistle, and as they came in like manner, they left Theodore about 1 p.m. When the invading army finally left, the villagers believed that it was the end of their ordeal and horror. They were mistaken. The invasion was reenacted in full the following day, Wednesday, 24th October 2001. At about 9 a.m., the military invaders arrived Theodore again. This time, they came in 3 troops carrying vehicles with fully armed soldiers and 1 armored fighting vehicle to back up the team. The leadership was same as the previous day, but with a lesser troop strength of about 40 soldiers. Another round of thorough and systematic search was conducted all over the village, particularly those areas that were not destroyed the previous day. About 14 thatched houses were set ablaze this time, while looting of properties went on unhindered. At about 12:30 p.m., the invading army team departed Theodore, heading towards Zakibiam, where we later understood other military troops were busy destroying the famous Zakibiam Market in Ukum local government area, which is about 15 kilometers away from my village. On the whole, I lost 3 members of my family and 1 other elderly man as a result of the army's invasion into my village. Valuable properties were also looted or destroyed, for which a list is herewith attached as an annexure. Other villagers also suffered a similar fate. In an attempt to find out the sudden turn of events against my person and all that I stand for, I contacted my immediate successor in office, Lieutenant General Ogomudia, Chief of Army Staff, in order to ascertain what really went wrong to warrant or necessitate the invasion and destruction of my village, Teado, by the Nigerian Army. The Chief of Army Staff was rather evasive and expressed doubts as to whether the act was really carried out by the Nigerian Army, which he heads. I also contacted the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, over the same incident at my home by the Nigerian Army. He was equally evasive and completely unsympathetic. I was aghast when he advised that I should not take it personal. Since then, I have been patiently waiting to see what action or reaction I will receive from the federal government of Nigeria, that I served very loyally for 33 years and in the process earned a national award of Commander of the Federal Republic. Till date, there has been no reaction, official or otherwise. Despite the setting up of a panel to investigate the massacre in my village, I still believe that the government was not sincere in its efforts to get the truth. The government has merely whitewashed the illegal activities of the soldier who committed dastardly acts against innocent and defenseless citizens in my village. It has been 12 years now since the massacre in my village, but to this day, nobody has been punished or even arrested for the egregious conduct. I have always considered the army one of the noblest vocations in the world. What else could be nobler than putting one's life on the line to save others? I am grateful to God for allowing me to be part of this noble vocation. I cannot figure myself doing anything else. I have done my job. I have served my nation with honor, pride, and distinction. Till my very last day in the army, I remained faithful and true to the oath I swore during my commission into the army in 1970.
Major General Victor Malu has received the ECOWAS International Gold Award for 1998. Major General Malu won the award for his gallantry, steadfastness, and successful prosecution of the peace process in Liberia.
One day, everything I stood for will be the religion of all Nigerians, confronting errors with the truth. Nigeria will attain its potential if truth becomes the guide and reference point to all Nigerians. As long as it pleases the Almighty God to keep me on this planet, I will always speak the truth no matter the cost to me. I am a firm believer that the truth ultimately sets a nation free. I have also left instruction with my family that when my sojourn in this world is over, I want to be buried in my full military regalia. I will not have it any other way. The army has been my life, and I want the paraphernalia of my profession to accompany me to the world beyond.